So we're going to talk about nutrition, but we're not going to talk about calories. We're not going to talk about food quality, macros, hydration, meal timing, anything like that. We're going to talk a little bit about some ways to be successful with nutrition, kind of taking the numbers approach away from it and looking at it from a like a soft skills perspective, and how we can use those to kind of shape our lifestyle around nutrition in that aspect. I'll open the floor up to questions every now and then, but I want you guys to note that sometimes with nutrition questions, they can be really specific to individuals and not to a group. So try to keep questions general if you can, and I'll try to give the best answer that I can back to that. Because the thing with that is, if I give an answer to someone that asks a question, but someone else hears my answer, and then they try to take that answer and apply it to their lifestyle, it could totally not work. So just keep that in mind when questions are being asked and answers are being given. There's one other thing I think I wanted to mention, but it'll come to me. But if you've done a class here before, you know we start everything with question of the day. So we're going to do the same thing. So you're going to give your name, and then you're going to answer the question that I present to you. I'm going to write it up here because we're going to come back to it later on and give a different answer, maybe if it changes. If not, that's okay. But question of the day: what pillar of nutrition do you thrive? What pillar do you have room to grow? And if you've been around the gym, there's a chance you've probably seen these pillars somewhere around here on a random whiteboard. Maybe we've had a discussion about it in a class. But the pillars, so we start with mindset at the bottom. And I promise you guys are going to answer this question. The second one is environment. Moving up from that, we have habits, knowledge, and then willpower. It's the very top. Does that look familiar to some of you guys? Maybe? Maybe? Okay, cool. So we think of it as kind of like a pyramid, and basically all of these things, they feed into each other. So mindset's the bottom because it feeds into our environment, our habits, our knowledge. But at the same time, we can kind of work down. So maybe willpower we feel like we're really good at, but nothing underneath it is kind of dialed in. So I'm going to make a mark, and I'm going to put where you feel like you thrive. Because again, we're going to come back to this later, and maybe your answer changes. Maybe it doesn't. That's okay. And then where do you grow? And I will go first, because it might shock you. It's going to be great. So I feel like I thrive 100% in environment. I work at a gym, so I'm very accountable there. I get to work out. I have a good support system at home, someone that allows me to force feed him vegetables. It's great. But I think I have room to grow in knowledge, and I hope no one leaves, because I'm teaching you stuff right now. So, whoever wants to, does anyone want to start? Awesome. All right.
I always start off.
Say your name.
Otherwise known as the frickin' old guy, or you're the old gal. Okay, we figured that out the other day. I think I thrive in mindset.
Okay.
I can pretty much set my mind to it, and I probably need to grow a lot in my habits.
And habits. And one thing to kind of think about for this, guys, as you're thinking about it, which one do you feel like you thrive, which one do you grow? If you see one up here that you kind of don't resonate with. You're kind of like, I don't really know what that means. Maybe that's the one where we could grow a little bit. So keep that in mind. We'll work this way and then we'll come around. So, Candace.
Sorry. It's going down.
Oh man, I don't know. I don't know where I thrive.
Do you guys think this is going to be interactive today?
I know I can always grow with knowledge. There's a lot I don't know.
Always be a student, right? I know, you guys get time to think over here. So.
I don't know where I thrive. I don't know if I thrive at all.
Okay. Cool. Tonight's gonna be great then.
I mean, my willpower's not your problem. My habits aren't that great.
If you had to pick one, best one out of all of them, which one do you feel the most confident in?
Probably my environment, because it just doesn't change very much.
Awesome. All right. Andrea?
Andrea, I would probably, I would probably thrive in knowledge because, like, for some reason, I eat that up like nobody's business. But I also have really bad habits that make me eat other things
So
that
great.
aren't good for
So,
me that I need to grow. Yeah,
All
grow
right.
on the habits.
Ron.
I would say thrive environment
Okay.
Partially.
because of her.
When it's not, and
I've got some bad habits.
after that,
Habits.
yep.
Alex?
You've had all this time to think.
No, I would say I thrive in habits because they're bad and I keep at them.
I love it.
All right. Never thought that.
That is one way to look at it. I love it.
I mean, like, I want abs, but I need tacos.
Yeah.
So I keep that consistent. Willpower is
Willpower.
what I need to grow in.
All right.
Because tacos.
Yeah, and it's making other things grow that shouldn't.
Yeah.
Amazing. We're going to start on this side now.
James, I think I thrive in mindset because I'm multitude, and then probably need to grow in environment.
Environment. Allie?
I would say I thrive in knowledge. I mean, I know what I'm supposed to do, I just don't do it. And I need to grow in habits.
Allie. Allie squared.
Yeah, I have the same answers. I feel like I thrive in knowledge, and I'm bad at consistency.
So habits. All right. Luke.
Tell me if you agree with this, I don't know. I would say my mindset a lot of times is like I go into things with the right mindset. I would say, yeah, my mindset would be where I thrive, and then either it's a toss-up between environment or in habits. My environment's always changing and my habits are terrible.
I'll let you be the deciding factor.
I think the habits is the big one.
Jill.
I'm Jillian. My willpower is awful, so let's do that. And I know how to have a proper environment, like not buying junk food and hanging out with people who work out. I just don't always do it.
Okay.
Willpower.
Yeah.
So I'll say I thrive in my environment when it's correct.
All right. Nancy.
Nancy, I would say I thrive in my environment because it's, and I need to grow in my knowledge.
Knowledge. Linz.
I'm Lindsay. I'd say I thrive in willpower. However, I suck at everything else, so willpower also sucks.
Okay.
But I'll say growth would probably be mindset, because that's where it all starts.
Okay. Madhu.
My mindset is always right. So trying to make sure I work out and stay active. But it's always the willpower that I need to improve.
Willpower. Gian?
None.
None?
I thrive at mindset and I lack knowledge.
Thrive at mindset and knowledge. And Sabrina, how are you?
My willpower sucks.
Okay.
My mindset,
Pretty good, huh? Okay, awesome. So we're going to revisit this question at the end, guys. Your answer might change, it might stay the same. Oh, Kathy.
I'm Kathy. The environment is great because I live with him.
Okay.
But my willpower sucks.
Willpower, another one. All right. Yeah, so did I miss anyone else? Okay, all right. Yeah, so I'm going to break down each one of these, and we will revisit this question at the end. Your answer might change, it might stay the same. That's totally fine. But I do encourage you to, if you, where you thrive or where you grow, whichever one you picked, try to pay a little more attention when we start that piece. Take some notes if you want. And the rest, if you didn't pick, whatever ones you didn't pick, I don't know, just listen to me talk, I don't know. But we're going to start with mindset. And before we even do that, I think one thing, and I played around with this idea of should awareness be at the bottom, which it very well could be. Like that could be that bottom piece of the pyramid. But I think really like awareness is something that you need for every single one of these. So I think really you could just do one of these fancy little bubble things and say awareness is something that encompasses all of it. And I also didn't want to put that at the bottom because I didn't want to give you guys the opportunity to pick that, because I think that by coming here, that shows that you already have awareness. You have some kind of awareness, whether it's that something needs to change, maybe that's an environment or a habit, maybe the mindset needs to change, the knowledge, the willpower, something about, there's already that awareness here. So keep that in mind too while we go through this. You need to have this to kind of dial all of this in. Do we have any questions so far on these pillars? Awesome. Don't be afraid to ask, please. So mindset is going to be the first one that we dive into. And if you have been in the CrossFit space, or again have been here, you've probably seen this thing on the wall. The great thing about this place is you get to draw everywhere. You get to write on the walls. It's amazing. So we have sickness, we have wellness, and we have fitness. And every single one of you guys falls somewhere on this spectrum, whether it's somewhere in between here, somewhere in between here. But the thing I think to keep in mind with this is the best place, I think, this is my opinion, is to be somewhere around here. You're in between fitness, you're in between wellness. And the way this kind of plays into mindset is becoming aware of where you fall onto this continuum of sickness, wellness, and fitness kind of depends on, it determines the mindset that you have when it comes to nutrition. So let me dive into this real quick. This continuum, what it means pretty much is that your fitness is a buffer for your wellness. Your wellness is a buffer for your sickness. So if you are really fit, it's going to take a harder time for you to get all the way back here. You have to pass through wellness to get to sickness. If you have sickness, then this is it's going to take a longer time to get to the fitness side because you have to get well before you get fit. Do you guys follow? Does that make sense with this continuum? Awesome. So when we look at the three different pieces of this continuum and how they play into mindset, we'll start with sickness. When we look at sickness, we could kind of break this into two things of preventable diseases, and then I'm going to toss eating disorders on that other aspect there. And one thing I want to talk about real quick on eating disorders and kind of the mindset on that is like, becoming aware that you have this is the first step, because becoming aware of that means that maybe you're seeking the wrong kind of help. Like maybe you're seeking out a nutrition coach because you don't realize that this is what you're actually battling, because you look into the mirror and, you know, you never like what you see. You're always chasing some kind of diet, looking for the next best thing. Like nothing is ever good enough. So being aware that sometimes a nutrition coach isn't the route to take there. It's seeking a different scope of practice that can help you in that aspect, because nutrition's not really going to be the way to solve that. Then we look at preventable diseases, type 2 diabetes, heart disease, anything like that, where nutrition does play a role into that. And this is true. Type 3 diabetes is being considered as dementia, because food does play a big role into that. So sickness, preventable diseases, we have to get well before we get fit. Understanding where you fall on this spectrum it determines the mindset that you have. Because when we look at fitness, how do we eat for that? Is it performance? Or is it looks, aesthetics? I can't spell aesthetics, so I'm going to write looks on the board. These two things, these mindsets are going to be different. If you are eating for aesthetics and looks, oh man, you don't get carbs anymore. If you're eating for performance, then guess what? Carbs become your best friend. So it's understanding that my macros are going to look different depending on which mindset I have. Am I eating for performance because I want to perform really well, I want my workouts to feel really well? Am I eating to look good? Which sometimes we might fall a little bit in between here. I think that it would be naive to say that no one wants to admit that they want to look good naked. And nutrition plays a really big role into that. And then we have wellness, which again, I think somewhere in between fitness and wellness is a really good place to be. But I think the thing to remember with wellness is we're really looking at what our balance is with nutrition. Do we have the mindset to be able to take that role of I can go out and enjoy a meal with my friends. I understand that my workout might suffer a little bit the next couple of days because my things were a little bit off, but I'm okay with that, right? Like my mindset is like, I'm not eating for this, so if my workout sucks, it's fine. I can clean up my nutrition next couple of days and I'll feel better about the next workout I do. Also, at the same time, with balance, then you do get to go out and enjoy things. I know, personally speaking, I've been around some people that didn't understand what I was doing, and the whole balance thing, it kind of started getting out of whack because my environment wasn't really shaped. So we'll kind of start talking about that. Do we have any questions or thoughts, discussion on mindset and kind of where you fall with this sickness, wellness, fitness, how these things kind of determine the mindset? Okay. So I think maybe before we move on, the last thing to kind of touch on here is the mindset you have eating for sickness, the mindset you have eating for fitness, maybe it's similar in the sense of we're working towards a goal. And I think the thing too with determining where you are in this continuum also helps you decide what your goal is with nutrition. And without a goal, it's kind of like, what are we doing? You know, we need to establish that. We need to know what, we have the awareness, but why are we here? Why do I want to either perform well or look good? Is it balance that I'm chasing? Or am I battling one of these and now is the time to take on the mindset that things have to be super dialed in because I need to be here, right? Is it I need to have everything really dialed in because I'm chasing one of these? Or can I be okay and kind of just find balance and hang out hopefully somewhere in the middle? Any thoughts or questions? Okay. Environment. Bless you. So few things so I remember. So we're gonna go 5 people. I hope 5 people are ready to talk. I'm just kidding. We're gonna go kitchen. You guys don't think I'm funny. It's great. Cabinets. I can't spell. Pantry. Fridge. And then eating out. Okay. I promise we'll do like an interactive thing later so that you guys don't have to like sit here and just listen to me talk. It'll give me a chance to drink some water too. So environment, next piece moving up this pyramid, and this one's kind of fun. So environment's pretty important once we have mindset established. You figured out your mindset, you know your goal, now what's next? Well, we need to make sure that we shape our environment, we have support, and we know what we're doing when we eat out. So when we talk about the 5 people in support, the 5 people that you surround yourself with the most often are the people that you start to reflect. And I find this to be 1,000% true. If you guys have been around Coach Bobby or Coach Jake, so Bobby finishes, I took some classes when I first started. He would get done explaining something and he would say, cool. And if you're laughing, you've heard it. Cool. I caught myself doing that. I would get done with my briefing on the whiteboard. I'm like, all right, guys, for event today, we had 200 walking lunges. We want the back knee to touch the ground every single rep. Cool. Like, crap, I'm Bobby. And it's funny. Jake told us about something the other day, and we're like, Jake, why didn't you tell them to pay for their drop-in today so you make sure they come back? And Bobby's like saying the same thing, like, you're in my head. And then Jake comes around, and I'm like, who's this bro? And he starts saying things like, sick, dude, yeah, cool. And I say too. Evan and I walk around the house, and I'm like, yo, dude, cool. Thanks, Jake. So the 5 people what I'm getting at is the 5 people you surround yourself with the most are the people you start to reflect. Now, when you're surrounding yourself with people, and I kind of mentioned this earlier, but there was a time where I was surrounding myself with people that thought the way I ate was stupid and crazy and smelled bad. I bring Brussels sprouts, and they're like, Trina, why do you have to heat up your Brussels sprouts in the microwave? And I'm like, because they're good for you. Eat your greens, right? So I've been around people like that, but I've also been around people where I heat up my Brussels sprouts, and they're like, whoa, those look really good. How'd you cook them? So it's kind of taking that into consideration of like, are the people I'm surrounding myself with, are they here to help me? Or are they here to not? Yes, yep. Are they the type of people that when you go out to eat, you say, I'm just gonna have one drink tonight. That's it. I'll drive you guys home. They're like, one more. Like, if they're pushing you and you don't want that, should you be surrounding yourself around them? Or are you around the type of people who are like, cool, I'm gonna get blitzed because you're driving tonight. Hopefully no one does that. But do you guys see what I'm saying by that? Like, support is huge when it comes to nutrition because food is everywhere. It's a common thing. You know, we go out to eat with our friends, our family. When we have social gatherings or Christmas comes around, we just got through all the holidays. How many family things did you guys go to? Where food was there. That's
the focus. Always.
Exactly. Food is a very social thing. And I think the other thing too to remember is, or to think about really, is when you are going to those social gatherings, like, what does the food look like? I talked to someone and she was like, it was crazy when I met my husband's family, I went to my first Christmas with them, everything was brown and white. Like, there was nothing green, there was no vegetables, there was no fruit, like, there was no color on the table. So that's, and I think one other thing to think about too of support, and so I remember this, grocery stores. when you have someone around you that you see what they're doing, or maybe you're trying to impact their lifestyle with what you're doing, that support's a huge factor. And sometimes you have to have a hard conversation. I was listening to something the other day that was like, you call in and you ask a question and whatever, they answer it. So he's like, I'm really having a hard time with my wife. Like, I'm trying to make a nutritional change right now. My wife keeps feeding my daughter fried foods, and I just can't do it because my willpower. Would you look at that? And the response that he got was, well, you either get your willpower to the point where you can sit there and enjoy your meal. Yeah. Or, well, he actually said, well, you suck it up, or you have a hard conversation. And that conversation, sometimes we think it's going to be hard, and it doesn't end up being that way. But something to just kind of to think about when it comes to support. Like, what are the 5 people around you? What are their habits? Do they reflect the habits that you want? Do they look similar? Are you similar to the 5 people that are around you, but you want something different? So maybe it's branching out and finding a new environment to help support your goals in nutrition. Now, we're going to talk about kitchen, the pantry, the fridge. So I've done a lot of one-on-one coaching, and if you've done one-on-one coaching with me or you've done one of my courses, you know that I assign action items at the end of our meetings. So something for you to focus on for the next week. Alex is like, yes, I've heard a lot of those. So something to focus on for the next week, something to talk about for the week to come. And I assigned this action item to one of my clients, and I made her send me a picture of it so I know she was doing it. I said, clean your kitchen every single night. She's like, Trina, what? You're telling me to clean my house? I'm like, yeah, clean your kitchen every single night. I didn't tell her why at first. I just wanted to see if she would do it. She started to do it. She would send me a picture. No dishes in the sink. Stove was wiped off. Everything was good. But the thing with that, and why I told her to do that, is because think of it as like when you put fresh sheets on your bed. You're really excited to go sleep in it. So when your kitchen is clean, you wake up in the morning, you're excited to cook in it. Hopefully, or it doesn't feel like such a chore because you have to clean stuff up from the night before, and you can get breakfast going right away. Now, your 5-minute egg sandwich takes 15 minutes because you have to clean all the dishes from the night before, and it shouldn't take that long. Now you're running late for work. So what does your kitchen look like? That's your environment. Is it clean? Is it easy to cook in? Do you have the accessible tools? Do you have a good set of cutting knives? Do you have measuring cups? Do you have a food scale? Do you have other things to help cook with, like a kitchen, like a mixer, or these witchcraft air fryers that people, what are those things? I don't know. Do you have other things to help you cook? What does your pantry, what does your fridge look like? When you open your pantry, what are the first things that you're seeing? Do you see, what are things that are my weakness? Do I see the mint Oreos when I open it? Do I see the chocolate-covered peanuts? They're so good. The fridge, what are the first things you're seeing when you, or are you seeing like healthy snacks? Are you seeing things that that fall on the spectrum of, so you've probably seen this as well if you've worked with me, but eat more, eat less. Are you seeing things that you should eat more of, that you know you should eat more of? Or are you seeing things that you know you should eat less of? And the thing with this, when it comes to one-on-one coaching, I will never tell you what to put on this. You decide that for yourself, because what someone else needs to eat more of, someone else might need to eat less of. So that's kind of up to your discretion and what you think should be filled in the blanks there. And hopefully if you see that, your gears are turning, you're like, I should probably eat some more of that stuff and eat less of that. But yeah, that's the pantry and that's the fridge. It's just being mindful of what it looks like when you open those things. Like, are you being tempted with willpower, which we'll get to, when you open your pantry or your fridge? I'm going to skip to eating, grocery store before I go to eating out, because I think this one's pretty important. I hate going to the grocery store. I hate it so much, it sucks. Especially if you go to Meijer at 2 o'clock on a Sunday. Don't do it, unless you're okay in the environment. But thankfully for me, I have the support I need at home. I can write a list, say, honey, go to the grocery store and go. Me, I'm like, get me out of here. There's too many people. Like, I can't do it. But it's also taking and thinking about, okay, that's because I'm sending him at 2 o'clock on a Sunday. If I go to the grocery store, I'm going Friday night. I'm going to go after this because no one's there. I can take my time. I don't have to deal with people. I don't like crowds. It's because I know what environment I thrive in and I know what environment I don't like, that decides when I go to the grocery store so that when I go, I don't hate it. And I think also, like, we get so used to going to the same grocery store all the time. It's constantly Meijer. It's convenient. It's huge. They have everything, right? But, like, do we go to Fresh Time? Do we go to Bridge Street Market, which is a branch of Meijer, but it's small, it's cute, it's hip? Do we go to Horrocks? Do we go to local meat markets? You know, where are we getting our food from? Do we actually take this as an experience, or is it just another thing to cross off the to-do list? Any questions so far on environment? Cool. I did it again. Dang it. That was not even, I didn't even try to do that. Eating out. So the last thing I kind of talk about for environment, where do you go? Who are you with? Are you going to chain restaurants where things are getting shipped in across the country so the same meal can be put on our plate here in Grand Rapids that is in Portland, Oregon? You know what I mean? Are the ingredients fresh? Are you going somewhere local where you're getting more of a farm-to-table experience? And I keep saying experience because one thing that when I took over nutrition here at the gym, one of my goals was to get people to understand that eating and food, it's more than just like calories and macros and all that crazy complicated stuff. Like, it truly should be an experience. Like, we should appreciate the meals on our plates that people farmed and put on trucks to bring to us. We should think about that and be mindful when we are eating out. And is it just another thing, or is it an experience? Is it just like, I'm so tired, I don't want to go cook something, so I'm going to pick the most convenient thing? Or is it, wow, there's this new restaurant, this new local restaurant that opened up and I can't wait to try it. They have really fresh ingredients and great reviews. Why are we eating out? Who are we around? Are we around that friend that's like, keep drinking? So that's kind of environment in a nutshell. So support, looking at your kitchen, your pantry, your fridge, eating out, and then grocery stores. When are you going? Where are you going? Do you go alone? Do you go with a list, or are you kind of just like trying to figure it out as you go, which is very stressful. So building off of that, we have habits. And we're gonna take I'm gonna go over something in habits, and we're gonna take a little break. I have some papers right here, pens. I'm gonna put 5 minutes on that timer, because we do everything for time. And you guys are gonna fill out some principles. If you've done them before, then it's gonna be a good way for you to see if they've changed. If you haven't, then it's gonna be a really good starting point for you to start thinking about different ways to see results with nutrition. So we have an acronym, and then once you guys do that, we'll talk a little bit more about habits. But we have an acronym, it's called CLEAN. So the C stands for consistency. The L stands for liquids. E is for eating out. This is adequate calories. And then the last one is nutritious foods. So you guys are going to fill out on the sheet what you guys do that's consistent, what liquids you take in, where do you guys eat out, how often, when. If you've ever, so for adequate calories, if you've ever tracked and logged your food before, why you stopped, if you liked it, if you didn't like it, just whatever, if you have an idea of what your adequate calories are. And then for nutritious foods, I just want what you are currently doing for protein, fat, and carbs. All right, do we have any questions on that? There's a front sheet of the paper. You guys don't have to worry about it. It's all in the back. All right, cool. I'm gonna start, I'm super self-conscious of that now. I'm going to start a clock. You guys can come up, grab a clipboard, grab a pen, start on that, and then, yeah, I'll give you guys 6 minutes once everyone has paper in their hands.
I know you just said it, but you said we fill out one side and not the other?
Just the back side, where it says consistency of liquids, just that side.
So is it like what we ate today, or?
Just what you do in general for consistency. Like, is your consistency that you eat breakfast every day? If that is, that's fine. Is it that you don't eat breakfast every day?
More important question, there's no space on the back for our name, so you don't want our name on it?
You can write your name on the front.
No. The idea is to do it anonymously.
No. Well, you guys are gonna
Drink beer for liquid?
For liquor.
Well, drinking
Not so much beer, but
I drink coffee with alcohol.
All right, I see paper in everyone's hands. You have 6 minutes. There's an extra clipboard. Does anyone want it? What did you say? What did you?
I don't get it.
What's up, Candace? What do you do that's consistent?
Not much.
All right. We're going to start with that. Okay.
Is it like just eating habits? Or?
Yeah. So do you eat breakfast every day?
No.
Do you drink water every day?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
That's consistent.
I always have water at my desk.
Yeah. Do you eat dinner every day?
No.
Okay. Do you have,
I just eat when I'm hungry.
there you go. Consistency. You eat when you're hungry. We can
I just
start
always
with
have
that.
food available at home and at work, and I just
Yeah.
eat whenever. I don't
Okay.
have a pattern.
Yeah. It's consistent in your own way,
Yeah.
if that makes sense. So it's not the typical, like it's not going to be like your typical consistency of like, I eat 3 square meals a day and every single one has 22 grams of protein.
No, that's
Right.
not me.
Right. Your consistency is different than someone else's. So whatever that looks like for you, that's what you write.
Inconsistency.
I'm consistently inconsistent.
Nope, that's me. Okay, I get it.
Are you done already?
Yeah.
Breakfast tacos. Oh, come on. Come on.
quit using that thing.
Why? Write it down.
The eating out is where we eat out, or how often? Or what?
Where, how often?
Okay.
Do you have another page?
Adequate calories. So for that one, I want you guys to, if you've tracked and logged before, then write how many calories you take in. If you haven't, then talk about why maybe you haven't done that, why you haven't decided to track and log in your food.
It's there.
It is.
Still don't use it.
You guys got 2.5 minutes. Man, I'm really bad at spelling.
So am I.
Gosh.
It's a good thing
So
that
nutritious foods.
I get the thing is like my work is the same and everything because
And you.
that word also has like
That's what, right?
grammatical corrections.
I know.
It's like it's so much better.
Yeah, I see the squiggly red line. I just left click or
And I'm
right,
OCD
left click, right click.
about
I don't know.
it too. Like I can't get too far ahead of a red line. I have to
Yeah.
correct it before I can continue
Yeah.
my thoughts.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't go on with the sentence.
Nothing's worse though, like than a slap in the face than when autocorrect or word
Has no idea
no
what you're
idea
saying.
trying to say.
Oh my gosh. I can't think of it, but there is one word. Oh, necessary. I struggle trying to spell that word all the time. Like, two.
I can't spell the word process. What is that?
Well, I can hardly spell nutritious. You guys got about a minute left.
You said 6 minutes.
Yeah, it's at 5.
Okay, just check.
About a minute. Less than now. Thirty seconds. Last 10, you got it, guys. Three, 2, 1. Awesome. Pens down. Your test is over. All right. So, cool. I just had you guys fill out your habits. So, you guys can take this sheet home with you. It's something to kind of revisit as your nutrition journey goes on. You might find that maybe you're consistently inconsistent, and that changes. You might find that you eat out 4 times a week now, and that's gone down to 2. Maybe your idea of nutritious foods change throughout the next 6 months. So a really good way to track progress with these clean eating principles. Now, so the thing that's really interesting about this, so it did kind of just expose some of your habits, and now what you can do with that information is see where your habits are taking up some of your time, and where you can kind of do more or do less. Again, fill in the blanks as you wish, because as you kind of start to fill that out, you might see that one of your habits is taking up X amount of time that is really useful. So, perfect example. Evan and I were house sitting for what felt like forever. And for that time, we didn't have a food scale. We track and log, we use a food scale for everything. And when we got back home, so I just had to eyeball it for like 3 weeks. I hope there's enough food. I don't know.
Food scale that you couldn't just take it with you.
We forgot.
Oh.
We just forgot it. And every time, so we would like check in back at home too and make sure my plants are alive. And I always say, grab the food scale, and I kept forgetting. So what I'm getting at is I realized that when we got back home, I grabbed my food scale, weighed out my protein. I was aiming for 3.5 ounces. I got 3 on my first try. Great. Got 3.5 right on my second try. So cool, my eyeball is developed. How much time have I been wasting weighing my protein? Probably a lot. Every single one of my meals. Now, as that time adds up throughout the week, cool, I have an extra 15 minutes to start getting ready for bed now. So what I'm getting at really is when you start looking at the habits that you have, maybe you need to do more of them to help support your nutritional habits. Maybe you need to do less of them to support your nutritional habits. Sleep plays a factor into nutrition, so all the time that I waste weighing my food, I could be using to get to bed earlier, and I recover better, I have a better workout, I have more time to meal prep. Or maybe we need to do a little bit more in the sense of maybe if I did pack my lunch every single day before work or the night before work, now I have more time to make my breakfast, I'm not rushing out the door, I get to enjoy my cup of coffee at the table instead of in my Yeti that is hot for 5 hours and I continuously just burn my tongue. So exposing your habits and kind of seeing where you can do more and do less. After you do that, you do a time audit. And I'm not going to have you guys do this now, but something you could totally do on your own. Break your day down into 3-hour blocks. So we'll go 6 a.m. to 9 a.m., 9 a.m. to 12 p.m., 12 to 3 p.m., 3 to 6, 6 to 9, 9 to 12. Because once you realize maybe I have this habit of I meal prep all my food on Tuesday night. I don't know, weird day. But it takes so much time and now the middle of my week is all messed up because I didn't get to bed on time, whatever. Maybe you look at your Friday and you realize that, oh, I get off work early on Fridays and I have time to go to the grocery store, write my list, have things prepped all the way up until the end of the week. And now, because I enjoy grocery shopping now and I go on Friday, I don't hate it and I can actually make a meal on Friday instead of it's Friday, I'm exhausted, I've already suffered through 5 days this week, we're at the end. But using that as a tool to kind of help you figure out where you're wasting time and where you can incorporate to work on your habits, all right? If you have questions on that, how those clean eating principles play into your habits, how habits can help you work on a time audit, do more, do less, you guys fill in the blanks. Cool? Again, cool. He lives in my head. Knowledge. So I said we weren't going to talk about calories or macros or any of that stuff, but what's a nutrition clinic if we don't, right? So I'll give you guys a nugget of knowledge. So if you came to figure out, I'll say the most frequent question I get being someone that helps people with nutrition is, how much should I eat? And like how many calories should I eat? So the best way to figure that out, track and log for 7 days, 7 days straight. When you do that, you don't need to try to change anything that you're doing. It doesn't need to be like, all right, I'm gonna track my food, I'm gonna eat really perfect. Just keep it normal. Whatever you do, just do. After you do that and you have your 7 days, take an average. So math, add it up, divide it by 7. Say you average to 1,400 calories. Cool. Now, from that, if you want to gain or maintain or lose, if you would either put yourself in a surplus, a deficit, or you don't do anything because you want to maintain. Maintenance is another word I struggle to spell. Surplus, you would go, so 500 for a surplus or a deficit, plus or minus, is going to be aggressive, and not typically where I like to start people, because it's not sustainable, because it's taking an entire meal out of your day, essentially, or maybe 2 snacks, or adding 2 snacks or an entire meal. And if you're trying to put weight on, I'll tell you this, it's a lot harder than trying to lose weight, because say you average out to 2,500 calories, you're like, I still need to gain weight, I want to put muscle on. You're trying to eat 3,000 calories a day. That could be really uncomfortable. So I don't typically like to start with that 500. You could make it very simply plus 100 to 200 minus 100 to 200. This is going to be more sustainable for you, and you're not going to constantly feel hungry or constantly feel like you're full. Another good rule of thumb for if you want to gain, lose, or maintain, if it's surplus, eat until you're uncomfortable, slightly uncomfortable every time. If you want to lose, eat until you feel like you're about to be full. If you want to maintain, then keep doing what you're doing. You don't have to change anything. Now, so that's my nugget of knowledge for you guys. Because again, my most frequent question is, how much do I eat? People ask that all the time. They think that there's a magic number that I can just throw out into the air and cool, it's going to work for you. But I'll tell you this, it does take some time. So you could do this average. Maybe you want to gain, maintain, or lose. You try the surplus, you try the deficit, and you just don't like it. Cool. Well, the thing about nutrition that's really cool is that it's also very experimental, and you can, if you have enough knowledge, you can play around with this. If this is something where you're kind of like, I have no idea what any of that means, great. You hire someone to help you. Personal experience, I did not, and it took me a really long time to figure out what was a good macro balance for myself, what amount of calories felt really comfortable for me. Had I seeked out nutrition coaching, 7 years ago, it probably would have been had taken that long. But knowledge also, things to think about or keep in mind with is your knowledge practical? Do you know too much, too little? What is your base around knowledge? Like if I draw this on the board, and this is like the standard for one-on-one coaching, calories, food quality, backstory. We used to have this as Whole Foods, and I was like, no, we're gonna get sued. Hydration. So I changed it to food quality. And then meal timing. If you can look at that and kind of like take some kind of knowledge out of each one, then I'd say you're probably doing okay. One example we like to use to our members is most of them can come in here, learn all the movements, establish themselves as a pretty good athlete, go home and teach someone else how to do an air squat. I saw one of our members teaching their wives how to do a power clean on Christmas Eve. I was like, this is amazing. But really what it is if you can take this and with it not being too much, if you know enough to teach someone else understanding calories, food quality, what all that means, then I would say you're probably doing okay. And one other thing I'll put too is scope of practice. Now, I labeled myself up here as needing to grow in knowledge because in my scope of practice, I need to be a step ahead of my clients. I need to be able to debunk the next TikTok myth that pops up on their screen. And I've heard some pretty silly ones. Oh, you wouldn't believe it. Like, you saw what? Salt water is gonna help you do what? No. So understanding what the scope of practice that you're using for your knowledge as well is kind of the thing to think about with that. So is it practical? Do you know too much, too little? Do you know too much and it's making all of this really complicated? Do you know too little about all this so that you see it and you're like, what does any of that even mean? Do we have any questions on knowledge? Cool. Last one, willpower. Okay. Willpower is fun. I'm going to write a word. muscle. And if I was like Coach Mike, I would draw a stick figure with a bicep flexing, but I don't know how to do that. He's really good at those. Muscle. Willpower is a muscle. Willpower is a muscle that you have to practice it, you have to develop it, it has to grow, and you have to get better at using it. It's not just something that you're like, I have willpower. Cool, do you practice that? How do you practice it? A fun way I like to describe it is if I use all my willpower on food, and I'm constantly saying no to this and no to that because whatever, maybe I don't have enough knowledge, I don't have the habits, my environment's not shaped, what even is a mindset? Then, cool, now my patience runs really thin and I'm mean to people that don't deserve it because I wasted it. I get this much willpower in a day and I get this much willpower in a day and I just use this much of it on food. Great, now I can't practice willpower when I really need to, when I need to be patient, when, yeah, we'll just leave it at that.
So you're not talking willpower just with food, you're talking willpower
In general.
in general.
Yeah, willpower gets practiced with food, but we don't want to use all of our willpower on food because you only get so much of it. And again, we make over 300 nutritional choices a day, and if you are constantly using willpower on all of those choices, then great, when Friday comes around, I'm ordering a pizza. I don't know about you. So think of it like that. Willpower is a muscle. You have to practice it. Sometimes it's really easy to practice. Sometimes it's really tough to practice. When you're in a social setting, sometimes it might be really tough to practice. When you're in a family gathering, it might be really tough to practice. But when you're at home, because you shaped your environment, it shouldn't be that hard to practice because you know what is in the fridge, you know what's in the pantry, you know what your support system looks like. You know that you're going to go to the grocery store at 8 a.m. on a Sunday when no one's there. Willpower is a muscle. Use that and take that analogy and think about it that way. Your food and your nutrition should not be what your life revolves around, but it should be able to support other things like stress, like gatherings, like holidays, when your willpower is running thin and you're really tired and you have decision fatigue. What's the term? Analysis paralysis, when you just don't want to make a choice and you want to do the easiest thing, when you want to be difficult easy versus difficult difficult, meaning difficult easy being it's going to be difficult for me to get on the app and order delivery, but it's going to be difficult for me to get up and make a meal. But which one am I growing from? Am I actually growing from the choice of delivery, or am I actually growing from the choice of getting up, turning on the stove, or opening a recipe book, finding something I want to make? Which one is difficult easy? Which one is difficult difficult? Which one do you lean into? I'll write that up there. Difficult, easy. And you can apply this so I think you could use this in the setting of working out too, of is this a difficult workout where I'm actually challenging myself, or was it just difficult enough for me to show up and move a little bit and now I'm leaving because I didn't feel like I got a good workout, right? Typically the ones or say you have a really bad day at the gym, you're probably going to grow a little bit more from that session, even though it sucked, rather than the one that went really easy. Cool, do you guys have any questions on that? Cool, awesome. So there is one more, I said it earlier, if you've done coaching with me, then I assign an action item. So I have an action item for you guys. And I hope that when you guys leave today, maybe you're in your car and you drove with someone, and I want this to be thought-provoking. I want you guys to have conversations. I want you to think about this stuff. I don't want it to just be I want you to drive home and be